What a great privilege it is to introduce our first speaker, our first member of Congress, Congressman Tom McClintock of California, who is the main sponsor of this resolution. Congressman McClintock, we thank you so much for joining us today, and we thank you for your leadership and your support for this historic effort and initiative on Iran. Those of us in California are especially proud to have you to support us in this initiative. Let me ask the control room to show a short clip of your introduction, and then we will turn the floor to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for everything that you're doing in the cause of freedom. It's a great pleasure to join you today. You know, there's a reason why a strong bipartisan majority in the United States House of Representatives has come together to co-sponsor this resolution condemning Iran's terrorist acts. It's because the world is watching the struggle for freedom in Iran, and it is cheering for your cause. We've seen the Iranian people taking to the streets and the airwaves year after year, demanding liberty and justice that is the right of every human being. We hear you. The ruling regime has denied the people of Iran these rights, and by doing so, it has lost any claim to legitimacy. Iran is one of the oldest and greatest civilizations in history, but it has been suppressed and plundered by a clique of theocratic thugs that compromise the illegitimate government of Iran. In past eras, the Iranian people have known the happiness and prosperity that freedom makes possible, and they are now seeking to reclaim it. As the mullahs have become more oppressive and extreme, the international resistance to them has become stronger and more resolute. The more the story of Iran is told, of its proud ancient heritage of freedom and civilization, and of its current curse of despotism and terror, the more the world has rallied to your cause. It's becoming obvious that Iran's rulers are beginning to fear your resistance. During the massive opposition protests in late 2018, authorities shut down the internet for more than a week in order to suppress information about the protests and related state violence. When silencing protesters wasn't enough for them, they killed them in the streets. Recently, as the global pandemic took a devastating toll on the Iranian people, the regime rejected humanitarian assistance from the United States and sought to convince the world that sanctions were the cause of the coronavirus wave sweeping the country. This, despite the fact that the regime has spent over $16 billion since 2012 to fund its terror proxies abroad, while Iranian healthcare services remain critically underfunded. Of course, the Iranian people are no strangers to the lies of the despotic rulers, as graffiti in a Tehran suburb read, "The Islamic Republic in Iran is the real coronavirus." The most prominent hashtags coming from Iran these days are hashtag Khomeini virus and hashtag Islamic Republic virus. Despite domestic and international acknowledgement of Iran's opposition, the regime has remained intent on provocation and destabilization. They attack foreign oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz and continue using embassies as fronts to plot terrorism. But after the killing of General Soleimani, who was responsible for an incalculable number of killings, the regime has been placed on notice that their acts of international terrorism will be countered with force. Nonetheless, it remains clear that the regime is willing to crush its economy and kill its own people for the sake of nuclear aspirations and spreading terror, further jeopardizing the safety of the Iranian people and threatening the peace of the world. Joined now by 221 members of the House of Representatives, I've introduced House Joint Resolution 374 that offers solutions for the future of Iran. It is the first time that the House has offered a comprehensive solution to counter the Iranian threat. That solution relies on the Iranian people, not military actions. The initiative is strongly supported by both parties and involves representatives from 41 states and 12 committees, including the House Committees on Foreign Relations, Armed Services, Homeland Security, Appropriations, and the Select Committee on Intelligence. This resolution was brought to the attention of Secretary Pompeo this week with the names of 221 co-sponsors as a policy suggestion that the administration should consider. It comes at a time when the Iranian opposition to the regime, the National Council of Resistance for Iran, is steadily gaining momentum and has thus become the main target of the regime's global terrorism. Dozens of the Iranian regime's so-called diplomats, as well as its agents, have been expelled or jailed by the European nations, including Belgium, France, Albania, as well as the United States, for their terrorist plots, particularly against NCRI officials. The Iranian resistance remains as the main target of repression in Iran. Many of its supporters have reportedly been arrested in Iran for their affiliation with this movement. Last November, the regime murdered at least 1,500 innocent Iranians protesting its cover-ups, mismanagement, and corruption. The International Atomic Energy Agency has found the Iranian regime has violated its international agreements on nuclear weapons. The cruise missiles used in several attacks on oil facilities and an international airport in Saudi Arabia last year were of Iranian origin. With the UN arms embargo due to expire in October, this resolution offers an effective path for the United States to take in dealing with the Iranian regime. Now, while progress has been made, one resolution by one chamber of government is not enough to achieve true change. That will require treating the Iranian dictatorship as the international pariah that it is. And it will require providing every ounce of moral and material support that the Iranian opposition needs to rid their nation of this fascist Islamic dictatorship, to restore the proud heritage of Persia, and to restore its rightful place among the civilized nations of the world. That so many members of Congress has come together to condemn these terrorist acts and express in no uncertain terms our support for the Iranian people's fight for freedom is a testament to the effectiveness and resiliency of the opposition movement. And now it's my honor and privilege to introduce Madam Miriam Rajavi, the President-elect of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, and to wish all of you Godspeed in your historic and vital work.